The Hidden Basement. Helen Whitaker had always believed that the measure of a life wasn't in the things you accumulated, but in the people you protected. At 68, retired after 34 years as a high school principal, she still carried that conviction like a quiet weapon. She had raised one child, her daughter, Laura, and poured every ounce of her strength into making sure Laura grew up knowing she was loved, capable, and never alone. That belief was tested on a rainy Thursday afternoon in late October inside the sprawling Willowbrook Mall on the edge of town. Helen had come to return a pair of reading glasses she'd bought for herself but never used. She was walking past the discount clothing store, Value Threads, when something made her pause. A familiar profile behind the register. Thin shoulders hunched over the counter, dark hair pulled into a messy ponytail, counting coins from a small plastic cup. Laura? Helen's heart lurched. Her daughter, the one who had graduated nursing school with honors, who had married a charming architect named Daniel 5 years ago, who had given birth to sweet little Mia at 29, looked like a ghost of herself. The navy polo with the store logo hung loose on her frame. Her cheeks were hollow. Dark circles bruised the skin beneath her eyes. Helen stepped inside. The bell jingled softly. Laura looked up. For a split second, her face lit with instinctive joy. Then fear flooded in. She glanced around as if checking for watchers. "Mom?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing," Helen said, keeping her tone light as even ice formed in her stomach. "I thought you were still at St. Mary's Hospital, full-time shifts." Laura forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I took some time off. This is just temporary." Helen moved closer to the counter. Up close, the changes were worse. Laura's wedding ring was gone. Her nails, once neatly manicured, were bitten to the quick. "Where's Mia?" Helen asked. "With Daniel and his mom. They're at the park. It's my day off." Helen glanced at the clock above the register. 2:47 p.m. Laura's day off, and she was working a retail shift. "Where's your car?" Helen asked. Daniel hesitated. Daniel needed it. His SUV's in the shop again. "For how long?" "A couple months." Laura looked away. "It's fine. The bus is reliable." Helen studied her daughter, the woman who used to text her photos of Mia in princess dresses, who used to call every Sunday to share hospital stories, who used to laugh so easily, now avoided eye contact and spoke in clipped sentences. "Sweetheart," Helen said softly, "look at me." Laura did, reluctantly. Tears shimmered but didn't fall. Helen reached across the counter and took her daughter's cold hand. "Tell me what's really happening." Laura pulled back. "Nothing. I'm fine. I have to close soon." "I'll wait. I'll drive you wherever you need to go." "No." The word came out sharp. "Mom, really, I'm okay." But Helen wasn't leaving. She bought a cheap scarf she didn't need, lingered until Laura's shift ended at 4, then followed her daughter to the employee exit. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the parking lot slick and reflective. Laura stood under the awning, staring at her phone. "Laura Marie Whitaker Reynolds," Helen said, using the full name that still carried weight even at 34. "Get in my car. Now." Laura's shoulders sagged. She nodded once. In the car, heat blasting, Helen waited. Silence stretched until Laura finally spoke. "We don't live in the townhouse anymore. We moved in with Daniel's mother 6 months ago to save money." Helen kept her voice steady. "And?" "Once we were there, things changed." Laura's fingers twisted in her lap. "Daniel lost his job, or said he did. I don't know what's true anymore. His mother, Eleanor, convinced him we should pool everything. My paycheck goes straight to her account now. She says it's for family expenses. I get $20 a week for gas and groceries. That's it." Helen's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Your car?" "Sold. Daniel said we needed the money for Mia's preschool tuition. But I checked. She's not enrolled anywhere. Where are you sleeping? Laura's voice cracked. The basement. Helen felt something cold and furious uncoil inside her chest. It's not so bad, Laura said quickly, as if trying to convince herself. There's a mattress, a lamp, a space heater. Eleanor says until I prove I can be responsible, I can't come upstairs. Mia sleeps in the guest room. I see her when they let me. Sometimes. Helen pulled into an empty corner of the lot and turned off the engine. Does Daniel know how bad this is? Laura laughed, a broken, hollow sound. He's part of it. Eleanor tells me I'm reckless with money, that I'm a bad influence on Mia. He believes her. Or pretends to. If I argue, she threatens to call child services, says I'm unstable, that I work too much, that I chose my job over my family. Helen thought of Mia, curly-haired, gap-toothed, the little girl who used to run to her yelling, "Gamma!" with sticky hands and endless hugs. When did you last eat a full meal? Helen asked. Laura shrugged. Yesterday, maybe. Helen started the car again. We're getting food, then you're telling me everything. They drove to a small diner Helen knew from her principal days. Laura ate slowly at first, then faster as if the plate would vanish. Helen ordered seconds without asking. Over coffee, the rest came out in fragments. Daniel had convinced Laura to sign papers for joint management of their accounts. The townhouse they'd bought together, the one Helen had helped with the down payment, was now rented out. The rent checks go to Eleanor's account. He lingered in the driveway as they loaded the car. Laura, I'm sorry, Helen said. Mom said it was for the best. Laura buckled Mia into the booster seat. You chose her over us. You let her hurt me, hurt our daughter. Don't talk to me again unless it's through the supervisor. They drove to Oak Ridge Lane as the sun dipped low. The tenants had already vacated. Catherine had expedited the eviction notice. The keys waited in a lockbox. Inside, everything was as they'd left it. Mia's princess bedroom, the kitchen where Laura used to bake cookies, the backyard where Helen pushed Mia on the swing. Mia ran from room to room. Is this ours again? Laura knelt. Yes, sweetheart, forever. That night, after Mia fell asleep in her own bed clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit, Laura and Helen sat at the kitchen table. Laura stared at her hands. I still can't believe it's real. It's real. You're safe. Mia is safe. Tears came then, deep, wrenching sobs Laura had held for months. Helen held her daughter the way she had when Laura was 5 and scared of thunderstorms. Thank you, Laura whispered, for not giving up. I'm your mother, Helen said simply. That's what we do. 6 months later, spring had arrived soft and green. The backyard of 1427 Oak Ridge Lane bloomed with tulips Laura had planted with Mia. A new swing hung from the old maple tree. Laura wore a sundress that actually fit her again. Helen watched from a lawn chair as Mia blew out candles. What did you wish for? Laura asked her daughter. Mia grinned, frosting on her nose. That Gamma stays forever and that we always have cake. Helen laughed. Good wish. Later, when the guests left and the sun turned golden, Laura sat beside her mother on the porch steps. I used to think I'd never get out, Laura said quietly, that this is my life now. Helen put an arm around her. You survived. You fought, even when you thought you couldn't. Because of you. Because of you, Helen corrected. You kept going for Mia. That's strength. Mia ran over, climbed into Laura's lap. Mommy, can we plant more flowers tomorrow? Tomorrow and every day after, Laura said. Helen looked at her daughter and granddaughter curled together in the fading light and felt the kind of peace that only comes after a long war. Family wasn't about blood alone. It was about showing up, fighting, refusing to let someone you love be erased. Eleanor and Daniel had forgotten that. Helen never would.